Hi, and welcome back to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast. My guests this week are Steve Davies and Emin from Giving Mortgages. The reason why I want to get Oz and Steve onto the podcast to talk about Giving Mortgages is that Giving Mortgages is a fairly newish platform in the mortgage broker marketplace. It's a fairly newish platform in terms of buying leads, but they are doing things slightly different. I've registered on the platform myself. I've had a nosy around looking at in terms of what the dashboard does, what the portal does, understood from a client's point of view, what the journey looks like. So it is a slightly different process. It's a slightly different journey for both the client and the broker. And I just thought it'd be good to get both Steve and Oz onto the podcast to talk about it. So let's just get them both onto the podcast. You're listening to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast with me, Craig Skelton, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. So welcome to the podcast, Oz and Steve. How are you both?
Very well, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for agreeing to come onto the podcast. It is quite a unique one because, like I've explained to you both before we hit record, that normally the Mortgage Broker Broadcast is me and a guest or solo. So we've got a duo on today. So I'm looking forward to this and looking forward to hearing all about Giving Mortgages, what it's about, how it was created, and how it benefits brokers. So I'm looking forward to hearing all about that and the platform. And I've had a look at that myself and registered myself. So we're gonna talk through that. But first of all, do you want to just both give your backgrounds in terms of who you are and your sort of career today? Do you want to start first, Oz?
Yeah, no worries. My name's Oz. I've been a broker for 5 years. Came across the Giving Mortgages platform a couple of months back. And saw that it was something very unique and different, and it's something that I've now got involved within the business. Again, with regards to other platforms and services that are out there, this is something by far that I've not seen before, and a lot of our brokers are really reaping the benefits of using it at this time.
Excellent. Brill. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that and how the feedback from the brokers as well that are using it's going to be good. So excellent. Cheers for that, Oz. Steve, over to you.
Yeah, I suppose it's a good idea to sort of give you a bit of background about the people behind the business. It's always good to have a platform, but it's important to know who's behind it and the reasons behind why we formed Giving Mortgages. So my background is I was a mortgage broker for many years in the early 2000s, from 2000 up to 2008, heydays of remortgaging. As well as being a broker, I also had a team of about 30 mortgage brokers that used to work under me. I was a regional manager for a big PLC. And we were running a fair level of business over time. And the real secret to that was obviously keeping the guys fed with good quality leads, while also encouraging them, obviously, to make sure they maximize from the business they already have and focus on friends and family and all the usual things. But most brokers, whether they're getting fed leads from estate agents or it's all their warm market, need something to support that. And I found back in 2000, it hasn't changed much than it is today, really, which is the leads that are out there are generally of not the best quality, limited information supplied with leads, poor conversion ratios, high financial outlays. In a lot of cases, you need to pay a monthly subscription or a significant amount up front in order to buy what could be a bag of bad quality leads. So in 2008, I left the mortgage market for obvious reasons, like a lot of people did around that time. And I started working with a financial claims company. And eventually in 2010, I opened my own financial claims company. That business started with two of us above a solicitor's office in 2010. The secret of the success of that business really is obviously, as a financial claims company, we did lots of financial claims at the beginning. We ended up doing mainly missold PPI claims because that was the biggest market driver for us. And the secret of the success of that business, again, was getting good quality leads. Now, we generated leads through originally local radio campaigns. We then moved into national radio and then national TV campaigns. So we were pretty prolific with our marketing, but also we supported that with digital marketing. At the time, digital marketing wasn't quite as big. Facebook was just in its infancy with advertising on Facebook. Google Ads was sort of up and running and, gathering traction. And then all the other sort of platforms that have come alongside that, things like Outbrain and native traffic and all the other digital channels now that people generate leads in. And I was lucky at that time because we had a good media agency in London that was booking the TV and radio time for us. And I was lucky to meet a guy who was an external consultant, a guy called Fraser, who helped to support what we were doing on TV and radio with digital campaigns across Facebook and Google and things like that. And Fraser was very successful in supporting our business digitally. He also went on to sell leads throughout the market in PPI, ended up actually getting bought out by one of my competitors. But him and his team, more importantly, went on to generate more leads in PPI than any other company that I know of. They were generating at the peak of the PPI boom about 25,000 leads a day. So if you can imagine, it's probably one of the most competitive lead generation markets out there. And these guys were doing 25,000 leads a day at its peak. So it's pretty momentous, that really. But since then, they've also generated leads in lots of other different verticals, other legal services, other claims, financial services, broadband, mobiles, you name it. They've generated leads in it. And I've generated, since 2010, over 8 million leads digitally. So the team that I'm working with are probably the best in the business as far as lead generation goes. And what happened was I in 2016, I moved to Spain for a while with my family. And came back last year and started to look at what I was going to do because the kids were at school age. So we came back from Spain to settle them in school in the UK and just looked at the mortgage market as something I would like to move back into, saw how it was buoyant again and saw that a lot of the problems that existed back when I was there in 2010 were still there in 2020-21. Poor quality leads, low conversion ratios, all the same story that I've just mentioned. So we set about, I sort of just set about talking to a few people. Fraser was one of the first in my phone book, and as it happened, independently looking at a way of developing an execution-only mortgage online, which was the sort of start of our journey, really, because we built a full online mortgage application, which is part of our customer journey now. It's built from scratch because we've got a good tech team. So we've built a really easy, and you've used it yourself, Craig, sort of great user interface, great user journey that basically captures a lead's information and basically takes them onto a product sourcing system, which will source a whole of market product for them. They then are asked to speak to a broker. They want to speak to a broker. They tick our terms and conditions, which will allow us to do two things. One is pass their name on to one of our partners, and two is to be able to get an Experian credit report. So one of the things that's probably quite interesting about our leads, and I'm not aware of anyone else in the market that does it, is about 90% of our leads will come with a full Experian credit report. So you can get a good picture of the client immediately before you actually pick the phone up to the client. You can have a picture of who that client is and what their credit rating is looking like and where they're up to. Further down the line, we'll also be integrating other things like open banking and several other sort of quite clever APIs that we've got to be able to make the customer journey easier. So, for example, examples that I can give of that are when we put a postcode into a postcode search in the customer questionnaire, we link into a third-party data source, which basically pulls all the other information about the property into the questionnaire, so the client doesn't have to fill it in about 60% of cases. So it'll tell us how many bedrooms the house has got, when it was built, what the wall's made out of, what the ceiling's made out of, whether it's leasehold or freehold, whether it's potentially got mortgageability problems. All of that information can be taken from a database that we have access to, which has all of the country's property data on it. And then I suppose it's taken now, since inception, it's taken us around about 6 months to build the software to allow brokers to go in and buy leads in real time with a low financial commitment. Minimum commitment is £200. You just need to buy 200 credits, and that gets you started. We supply a lot more information than the majority of lead generators out there. Obviously, when a client's filled in a full online questionnaire, which isn't always the case, but a good percentage it is, the amount of data that we're able to supply with our leads, and also the fact that the client's already bought into a certain extent because they've been in and they've spent the time filling in a full online questionnaire in some cases. So the buy-in for those clients is a lot higher than perhaps someone that just goes and fills in a standard web form, name, address, telephone number, and a little bit of mortgage information. So we're finding that that increases conversion ratios, but what also increases conversion ratios is we're working with a team of guys in Warrington who qualify all of the appointments. So when we say qualify, what happens is all the leads are qualified via our online process. So telephone verification checks and email verification checks. So there's very few dead numbers. But what the call center in Warrington do is they will call the client and they will make sure that check some of their mortgage information. If the income looks low, they'll ask some questions around that. And they'll more importantly confirm their intent. So if it's a tire kicker or a rate chaser, they will be taken off the database before they go into the platform. So with qualified leads, the sort of tire kickers and the rate chasers won't necessarily come through. So there's a big we probably lose about as many leads as we qualify when we go through that process, because with internet shoppers, the large amount of them tend to be just fit that profile. And we're finding that the qualified leads are converting at a very, very good rate. Our best brokers are converting at 25-30%. Average across the board for qualified leads is about 18% at the moment. So it's very good for the price of the leads that we're putting on the platform. The leads on the platform are of what I would consider to be a undervalued as far as leads of that quality go. Okay. Average lead cost at the moment is about £35, I would say.
Right.
Which for a qualified lead is good.
Yeah, absolutely. It is when we sort of look at comparing it to other players in the marketplace. So just Steve, just to obviously the conversion is a big thing from a broker's point of view. Cost is, but and conversion is as well. Just can you just go back in terms of from a customer's point of view, because I want to talk about the broker experience in a bit and what the dashboard looks like and things like that. But from just so the brokers can understand what the customer journey, because you covered it quite a bit of detail there, but just to give it a bit more understanding with regards to, so a client goes onto your website, they're then filling in a mini fact find. Is that the right term?
Yeah,
is that what questionnaire kind of thing?
Yeah, they'll fill in. It's a two-stage questionnaire. The first stage takes very basic information: name, address, telephone number, date of birth, property value, mortgage value, telephone number, obviously, limited amount of information, and their address. And then once they've signed the terms and conditions, they can then go in and fill more information out, and income and expenditure, more details about their existing mortgage, lots of other ancillary information you would expect to put into a mortgage fact find. So about 40% of people that fill the terms and conditions in go in and fill the whole information out. The rest just stop at terms and conditions and then press the button to speak to a broker.
Right.
So, but what happens then, and I think what the question you were probably asking, Craig, is from a customer journey point of view, how is that customer received by the broker? Well, the answer to that question is there's a communications process that happens prior to the broker calling them. The first thing that happens is after they sign the terms and conditions, they will get an automated email which will tell them that either a broker or somebody from Warrington will be calling them just to confirm their details and set an appointment and set an appointment to speak to them. At the point that happens, that is the point that it drops into the marketplace. And once it drops into the marketplace, if someone buys that lead, we will then send a second email to the client to say that Joe Bloggs from XYZ Mortgages will be giving you a call to discuss your mortgage. And that's a nice little intro really there for the broker, because they've received an email. Now, you know yourself, they don't always answer those emails. And we'd love every lead to be a good one, but unfortunately, we're doing our best, and we think that at the moment, if it settles at around about a 20 to 25% conversion ratio at the prices that we're charging, bearing in mind they probably will go up a little bit. I mean, the real price of the qualified lead should probably be more like about £50, and perhaps the unqualified ones we're going to reduce the price up to make that up. So there is people that are successful with the unqualified leads, but it takes a certain type of broker to work with the unqualified leads because the conversion ratios are so much lower, because you haven't got rid of the tire kickers and the ones that just put the phone down and say they don't want to speak to you, because you get them.
Which you're absolutely right. It is pretty. That's an average in terms of the tire kickers, so the unqualified ones. I know from running my own brokerage in my own firm, where we run about it's about an 18% conversion on the it's probably more like 1 in 15 recently. 15% conversion recently with regards to the tire kickers that aren't qualified, just come through to the website, fill in the contact form, like you say. So at least with the ones you're talking about, so you're offering both unqualified leads, which are the tire kickers, as you say.
Well, they're not all tire kickers. There's just going to be a higher mix. So if you imagine, to give you an idea of conversion ratios.
It could be anything, couldn't it? It could be anything from no deposit to bad credit that you've got no chance of getting anything through and things like that. So, which is pretty. Brokers will sort of understand that, and they sort of see them themselves. It's understanding the difference between what giving mortgages is like compared to, I know brokers use Unbiased and Vouch for and various other lead sources. There is plenty of lead sources out there in terms of mortgage leads. It's just understanding of what the process the client goes through that's different, which clearly we understand that's different from a point of view. And you're right. What point does the experience file come in with the client then? Is that after they've ticked the terms and conditions? Is that something?
In every case they tick the terms and conditions. So the only time that it isn't available is if the client hasn't given us enough address information, or it's unavailable for another reason. So I would say 90% of leads, they tick the terms and conditions, and the credit file's available. You can tell on the marketplace, because the marketplace shows you their credit score where we have a credit file for them. So it's quite easy to tell whether you're going to get a credit report with a case, but it's in 90% of cases. So.
Right. Okay. No, that's good. I answered that question, because obviously then it's coming pretty good package from a broker's point of view. And one thing that I wanted to just ask you a bit more about was obviously using other third party, which is great. That's to make life easier. Broker using other third party information that's out there, like you say, the open market, like the open banking that's going to come through, and what is that something that's sort of planned with the future with you guys? Are you just trying to make the process from a client easier? Because clearly that's the way that things are going to go from a client point of view. I just want to sit at home, go through as much of the process as I can with at least friction as I can, and then at the end user, the broker, then comes with quite a lot of data that's going to help them do the job and speed up the process, really.
Yeah, and I think we can take that a stage further as well, really, Craig, because not only are we giving them tools to buy the leads, we're also giving them the tools to manage those leads. So the pipeline report tracks the process of a lead through to offer. Ultimately, that pipeline report will also be able to track the case post-offer. So that there's a full tracking process there to be able to track the lead from its inception right the way through to completion. And that's important for two things, really. The first one is for management information. From our point of view, it allows us to assess the quality of different marketing campaigns and where we're getting poor conversions or a lot of low contacts, for example. We can go back and we can analyze the data sources. So we built the pipeline report. Initially, really, it was for us to assess the quality of our marketing campaigns. But what we've found is the brokers are using it quite a lot to be able to just follow the flow of the leads. It does things like link into your diary and puts appointments in your diary, and it prompts you when there's a no sale, the reason for no sale, and then all of that information that's captured in that pipeline report goes into a dashboard, so you can see your own conversion ratios, what your cost per lead is, what your cost per sale is, what your pipeline's looking like, how many no sales you've had, how many cases you've had complete, etc., etc. So it's a full all-round system, really, to not just buy leads, but also to manage those leads once you've bought them. And we're making improvements all the time. I mean, we're very much about building a community of brokers here, and the brokers are feeding back regularly through email and through regular Zoom calls that we arrange to be able to provide feedback and improve on that user journey from a broker's perspective, and add little bells and whistles. Like we've now got a notifications feature in there, so that when a lead that matches a broker's criteria, whether they're a specialist buy-to-let broker, they do equity release, they want a remortgage in London, we can filter on lots of different factors there. And from those filters, we can set notifications so they will receive an email as soon as a lead land that matches their criteria. Because one of the things that probably isn't clear from this podcast up to now is we work very much on a pay-per-lead basis, and those leads are available to every broker individually in the marketplace. So it's really on a first-come, first-served basis. So we're finding that brokers are going in and buying the leads when they need them, so which is, ideally what we're looking to do is provide a service where brokers can top up with their existing clients and their existing data sources and lead sources, and just fill in with ours. And if they work, start to scale it. We're not asking, like I was talking earlier about high financial outlay with lead costs, because a lot of providers will ask, and I'm not in this to slag off any of the competition. There's some great lead providers out there completely, and some of which you've already mentioned, Craig, but there's many that ask for several £1,000s before they start to deliver leads, and then it's too late by the time you spent the money to realise that you bought not great quality leads. There's companies out there that charge for particular areas, for example. And as you probably know yourself, Craig, and I'm sure this has been discussed on your podcasts, I mean, the way that brokers work now is very different from how they worked pre-COVID. And the majority of brokers we speak to aren't really that bothered about area, because most of them are doing what we're doing now and speaking to people on video calls. So I think, what we've got, yes, if you want to buy in a particular location, it's always good for someone in London to speak to a southerner. They don't want to speak to some mank up in Manchester or some scouser up in Liverpool. And naturally, they will gravitate towards buying leads in their area, perhaps, or they'll buy leads in their area of expertise, be that buy-to-let or equity release. So what will happen through creating this portal is that naturally brokers should pick up the type of clients they're looking for, and vice versa with the clients and the brokers. So that's really the sort of concept, I suppose.
Which is good. And I think the thing that I'm getting, the message that's coming across, Steve, is that it's very much about working with the brokers to make this, it's a win-win situation. If you're getting feedback from the brokers on the quality feedback, and you're understanding that and working on that and learning from that and developing on that, it's a totally different concept. And you sort of said about getting the feeling as though it's a broker community, which is totally different to what everything else that's out there, where you're not a case of solve the lead now, move on and move away from that. It's sort of, it's bringing the feedback, which is unique, and it is quite different, and especially from when you look at how you want to learn from that, because it is, and you will learn from that, and you'll put those learnings in place and work more effectively with the client, with the brokers, and look at getting that feedback. And I think that's something that brokers need to be aware of, that when they're working with somebody like yourself, because I, as you know, and as you said, I registered on the portal, had a nosy around, looked at that, and sort of looked at the client journey to a certain extent as well. It's very much, I sort of thought, wow, it's asking for feedback from me as a broker. You can use it as a, if you're not lucky enough to have a client management system where you are, then you can use this as part of the client management system. So as you can use it as a client management system. So feeding back, interacting with it will only benefit the broker, but benefit you as the lead provider as well. And I think that is quite a unique setup. And I think the other part of it is as well, and one of the questions that you've already answered, what I was going to say is, do you see this as sort of like I suppose for some brokers, it could be the be all and end all of their lead source, but then you're also saying actually you can tap into this and you've got that flexibility, in effect, a pay as you go contract rather than a sort of a full blown contract that you're setting up. It's just more about.
Yeah,
I'm
we
sorry.
don't ask for. So sorry to butt in there. We don't ask for any sort of commitment from the broker. We do ask them to tell us how many leads they want, because obviously we need to gear our marketing around the demand. But if someone said they want 5 leads a day and they only take 3, that's fine. Don't worry about it. It's not like we're contracting them, because in the same way we're not contracted to deliver, but we know we can. So it's just about managing things. So knowing that how many leads there are going into the marketplace, and that we've got enough brokers around to buy them. And we know that we can scale the business very quickly, because we understand marketing, and we understand we can scale this model up. So at the moment, we're producing just probably between 100 and 150 leads a day. We know we can move that up into several hundred and probably over 1,000 leads a day within a reasonably short space of time. And what that does is 2 things really. Is firstly, it drives our lead cost down, because with volume our traffic becomes less expensive, and that in turn drives the lead cost down for the broker. So it's a win-win situation really, as far as that goes. And that's really what we're trying to create. And we're trying to create a platform where the small one-man band broker can go in and buy a few leads, or a business with 20 brokers can go in and buy leads for their broker and feed them with, if they've got employed brokers, they can feed them with the leads, or if they've got self-employed brokers, they can get the self-employed brokers to buy the leads. So there's lots of different options. We try to look at the whole market, and I think it's important for us to be honest here about our game plan here, and what we're looking to achieve from a long-term value of the business. And the real truth and honest part of this is, we can generate the leads. We know we can. We could probably sell the leads to 1 or 2 buyers, big buyers that we're aware of in the marketplace. But that wasn't our goal in this business. Our goal in this business was to help everybody in the market, not just the big boys, but also the guy on his own that's directly authorized, or part of a network that just needs some leads to keep him going, and also some leads where people, are looking to grow their business, where we can support them with that. And in some cases, with selected partners, we are offering a revenue share option, where the brokers can go in and actually not pay a lower cost for the leads or no cost for the leads. They need to obviously be of a certain caliber of broker to do that, because there's quite a financial investment on our side. But we give them that option of being able to move on to that model. If the conversion ratios are good enough, they can go on to a revenue share option.
Right. Okay. So that's another, because that was the thing I was going to move on to sort of next, was really from a broker's point of view. And maybe if you want to pick up on this one, or if I'm okay asking you this from a broker's point of view, what does the journey look like? I'm sat here today as a sole trader, thinking I'm doing a bit of branding myself. I've got a bit of social going on. But I need to ramp it up a little bit in terms of leads, and I need the extra 1 or 2 a day. How does it look from a broker's point of view? With, like, we talked about the dashboard, the broker portal. We talked about a little bit about cost and sort of credits and things like that. But do you want to just explain what the process looked like from a broker point of view, from start to then getting on the platform, and what the dashboard looked like?
So you mean from signing up, from having a demo call, to signing up to actually using the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, yeah. So we're going to put the links into the description about reaching out to you to look at how to get signed up to the platform, what the platform's about, and the rest of it. But yeah, do you know, so from that point onwards, really.
Yeah, very, very, very straightforward. I mean, that's my main function in the business. Is I'm on the ground. I'm speaking to pretty much everyone, as you say, the sole traders to the big companies. It's literally a case of, I will give you a 15-minute demo, which will be showing you how to put money into your wallet, how to search for the best leads, how to create notifications. This is, again, it's all done online. It's all done virtually. Then you'll be given a link, or even from the platform, in the top right-hand corner, it will say log in or register. The client then registers. You pop your information in with your FCA number. We then check the FCA number against the register, just to make sure it all matches up, which can take the best part of 2-3 minutes. Once we verify the account, then pretty much they're good to go. So it's not, there's sort of no setup cost to it. There's no fees attached to it. And it is the best. I mean, I've been doing it for a few months now, and I'm speaking to, on average, 6 or 7 brokers a day who are signing up. And it takes the best part of, if we're having a presentation as we speak and we get off the phone, you could be signed up in the next sort of 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
It's very quick.
Okay. And in terms of, so process in terms of getting set up is pretty quick. What I'm looking at in terms of the dashboard and when the lead comes through, how does that work in terms of process from a broker's point of view?
So if there's something specific you're looking for, you mean?
No, just in general. So if I'm a broker that I'm now registered on your dashboard, I'm registered to work with you guys.
Yeah.
Do you think, because like with other providers, they might get no email notifications or anything like that in terms of these leads available? Is it a matter of me is there anything like that or proactive stuff, or is it just me sat thinking as a broker, I need a couple of leads today, let me get on to Giving Mortgages and let's look at what's out there in the marketplace?
It works both ways. Within the demo, we run through how to set up notifications. So, for example, you've got some guys that are looking for remortgages with bad credit or whatever it may be. All the selection tabs are there, so you can actually search for the type of customer you're looking for if you're looking to buy the lead there and then. But you can also set that criteria to notify you via email if that lead drops into the marketplace in the next 3 or 4 hours or in the evening. It will then pop you an email for you to then go into that email and go ahead and buy the lead.
Right, okay. Got it. That was my just understanding about whether I can get notifications or whether it's just a case of me side thinking. So you can sort of streamline it down. So if you're thinking, I'm just in the remortgage market, I know, Steve, we talked about areas, you're absolutely right, areas don't really matter, but look, if I'm thinking, right, I'm based in Manchester, I'm looking at remortgage and all I'm focusing on is remortgages in Manchester, you can pretty much filter that down, I'm then guessing, so you only get notifications about leads that you actually want rather than anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. You can search it via geographically, credit status, loan to value, loan amount, income multiples. So you've got all of those selections there. You can really, narrow the search right down if you're looking for something specific.
Right, okay. And then just, if I'm thinking from a business owner's point of view, so I've got, you're talking about business owners and having, say, maybe 10 brokers in the firm, and I'm looking to provide leads for them. Can I set them up as, is it down to me to manage that then in terms of from a business owner point of view that I then accept the leads and give them out to the brokers, or can the brokers within the firm that I know and trust, can they have freedom to pick and choose? Can I set that up as a firm? Is that something I have to do myself, or can the brokers do that within the firm?
You've got a couple of choices around that. If you are buying the leads, you can assign brokers, which is in the top right hand of the platform. So what you do is then within your own profile, you're adding users. So you're popping in their details. It's the same process. We're then verifying those users. Once they're verified, you can then purchase leads and allocate them the leads, and you can actually look at their dashboard to see, whether they've converted, whether they've scheduled appointments. On the other hand, if they're going to be purchasing from their own pocket, then they can go into their own profile and make a deposit and buy their own leads as well.
Right. Okay. No, that's a good point. I just wanted to clarify in terms of from a business point of view, just trying to understand how I can become easier for me. I'm okay buying the leads and trust them to do it, and then I can then track their conversion rate and things like. Because obviously, then I can sort of say, well, you're not going to be able to get those leads anymore because your conversion's at 5% compared to the average at 25% with the rest of the firm and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see all of that on there.
Okay. Is there anything from a broker's point of view, before I just ask you a final question, Steve, is there anything from a broker's point of view, Oz, that we've not talked about, or even if you, Steve, anything from a broker's point of view that we've not covered or talked about at this stage?
I would say, again, with my broker cap on, I've purchased leads, I've done SEO, I've done Facebook ads. What I like about Giving Mortgages is the fact that before you part with your money, you can actually see, you've got quite a good overview of that client before you've actually pressed buy. You can see the income, you can see the property type, you can see the credit score, you can see the loan to value. And the biggest example I give to the guys that I speak to is, for example, if let's just say you've got a client there who wants £1 million mortgage, but you can see that he's only earning £12,000 a year, then you probably know there's a good chance you can't help that customer. So I think what we're doing is we're giving you a lot of information at the front to be able to make a calculated decision before you buy the lead.
Absolutely. I think that's
really
the beauty of the transparency. And that's what I like about it, Oz, is that there's the transparency there. I'm just sat here now, I can sort of see area, age, income, credit status, remortgage property value, loan amount, some property information on there as well. And I can sort of see when that lead came in. I can sort of see that, like, there's a score on the lead as well, see the loan to value, and I can see exactly how much it's going to cost me in terms of credits to purchase that lead. And I think, and I'm sure you don't, just to be clear, that once I've bought that lead, that's mine. There's no other firm,
Absolutely.
other mortgage broker, anybody else that's in there within Giving Mortgages that's going to get that data.
Yeah, no, the leads are completely exclusive, so that they're not resold. The other question that I get asked a lot as well is with regards to the Experian report, that there's no additional charge for the report. So when you buy the lead, that's completely free. So it forms a part of the price.
Can I just make an addition? Can I just make an addition to that, guys? Actually, that we haven't talked about with regards to some of the additional information that's supplied with the lead. We also now have, and it's been added, so within the next few days, will be added onto the marketplace. But we're already getting this information. So we've partnered up with a company called Contact State. Contact State are owned by a company called Verisk. They're an American company that work in the States with financial services leads in the States. Excuse me, my phone just gone loose. Excuse me, sorry about that. I'm sure you can cut that bit out. So, yeah, Verisk are an American company that verify financial services leads in the States. In the States now, you can't sell financial services leads unless they're compliant. And whatever happens in the States tends to happen here a little bit later. So Verisk have set up this company, and what they basically do is they work with quite a lot of the big life insurance providers, and they're now working with a few equity release providers, and now actually working exclusively with us as a lead provider. And what happens is that report is a report that verifies all of the information that you're given is genuine. So we know it's a real person. We know it's genuinely gathered. We know the customer journey that they've been on. We know that the terms and conditions that have been signed are GDPR compliant and FCA compliant. And the certificate is supplied with every lead. We pay for that lead. That's another additional cost that we add on to the lead. But that is a certificate of authenticity that you can be safe in the knowledge that that is a genuine lead that's been gathered generally within the right compliance procedures. And obviously, if the FCA were looking at your lead generators, you can supply them with absolute certificates available with every lead, or will be. They're being generated already. We just haven't put them on the marketplace yet. It's just a piece of dev work that we're doing this week, I think. So that Contact State certificate is just another seal of approval alongside a lot of the other things that myself and Oz have spoken about on this podcast. So, yeah, hopefully we've covered as much as we can to be able to get the best conversion ratios out of the leads. But unfortunately, I don't want to end on a negative, and I won't. But all people do change their mind, so every lead doesn't convert. And I think if the brokers themselves can do the maths on this, if you're paying £50 for a lead and you're converting 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 of them, does that work in with your maths with regards to what the potential commission is within a mortgage case? I would suggest the answer to that is yes, in most, if not every case, really, as long as we can convert at those levels. So hopefully we've created a platform that works and allows people to buy leads at the right cost that works within their business model so that they can make a profit. And, we believe that they can. And a lot of the time we can put our money where our mouth is, where we've got selected partners that work within our are set parameters that we can fund their growth, the growth of their business, to be able to maybe take more brokers on and feed them with leads. So there's a lot of positives there, but we're not perfect. We do get people that don't pick up the phone, unfortunately, after they've been confirmed. But look, that's just the nature of people, and anyone that deals with people knows that people change their mind and go back to an existing lender and go back to another broker and all of that stuff. But ultimately, if we can convert 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 of the leads that we get, and we're paying 50 quid a lead for it, I think it works maths-wise all day long.
No, definitely. I totally agree with you, Steve. I think brokers know, like, if you're an experienced broker, even if you've been doing it for 5 minutes and rung up 5 leads, you know that, and the leads come through that minute, you know that people still don't pick up, people still don't answer. I always sort of talk about that. I've talked about this so many times on the podcast, that you just follow up, and until they tell you to F off and go away, you follow it up. So we do. So, sorry.
And that's why sorry, we're cutting over each other. So, I mean, that's why the range of conversion ratios is so vast. We've got brokers that are converting at 30%. We've got other brokers that are converting on single digits. And that is really about making sure that you work the leads, because all the lead is a sale opportunity. We can't sell it for you. Otherwise, we'd be charging more than 25% just for you to sign the mortgage documentation. So it's up to you to discuss your fees. It's up to you to find out the best product for the client, and it's up to you to build rapport with the client so they want to work with you. So we're just providing that introduction. It's then up to the broker, and that's why we've got this vast difference. And hopefully that'll get easier, and there'll be no one on single digits, hopefully. But that's just the position at the moment, and we encourage people that come on the platform and give good customer service, because those that aren't following up the leads properly are probably creating problem for the client as well, because they're going somewhere else. So it's hopefully we're giving people the best opportunity to get extra business, and that's what we're intending to do, and hopefully we're doing that successfully.
No, definitely. Like, my feedback, my thoughts as a broker would be, well, I'd be paying out say I'm working with an estate agent, average paying them about £250 a time. That buys me, on average, 5 leads. If I can convert them better than 1 in 5, then fine. You've also got to think about the time that when you're paying out the £250, what you will, if you're working with an estate agent or introducing, paying them out, you're still spending time working with that introducer, educating them, training them, doing all those other things to generate leads in the first place, where actually you could be spent working on these leads that you paid for, and you'd be more effective with your time and financially better off, because you're working with the right people, which ultimately are the clients. And like I say, if you've got the right follow process, and we all know those brokers, we all know the ones that will ring them once and then never ring them again, and just sort of say, oh, they'll waste time, that lead, or they'll waste time, that lead source or whatever. That's just natural. People are people, aren't they, like you say? So, Steve, just on one, so thanks very much for that, because it was leading on to one last question that I was going to ask you, is what's the future like in terms of giving mortgages, which you've answered anyway, so you've answered part of it with, is there anything else that's sort of going on? What do you see the future of giving mortgages looking like?
I think we continue to scale the business in this particular area, which is mortgages. I think our platform lends itself very well to other products which are financial service based. So things that I can talk about already are things like equity release, targeted buy-to-let campaigns, life insurance leads, perhaps other financial services like investments and pensions, etc. So, but yeah, the long-term plan would be to slowly bring other products that are related onto the platform, so that we're creating a bigger platform for more people to use, really, which is our main ambition to this, is to get a lot of people using the platform and hopefully enjoying using the platform as well.
And working with you guys and working with you to then, for everybody's benefit, really, to develop the business, develop the platform, and develop the broker's business as well. So, excellent. So in terms of us, if I'm a broker sat here right now thinking, I want to know more, I want to understand a lot more about what's going on, and I want to be part of this community, how do we find out about giving mortgages?
Yeah, so what I've done, Craig, is I've sent you the link to my calendar. Generally what the brokers are doing is they're booking in a time slot, which is best part of 10, 15 minutes. And then I can literally run through everything with them from the platform to registering to getting them verified as well, which overall process takes half an hour.
Okay, we'll get that link. The link's in the podcast and into the description. So thanks very much for clarifying that.
No worries.
Gents, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for giving us a good overview of giving mortgages. I understand it a little bit because I did some research before, but I've got clarity now in terms of what it is, what it's about. I think what comes across really clear is that you wanting to work with brokers and see it more as a community thing to generate leads. It's cost effective. It makes business sense from a broker's point of view. But Oz, thank you so much for your time.
No worries. Thanks, Craig.
And Steve, thanks for yours as well. I know we've had a few technical problems with your camera, but that doesn't disappoint the quality of the audio. So
you don't want to see me anyway. You don't want to see me anyway at the moment.
We always want to see a face behind there, so don't worry. Yeah, don't worry, Steve. Thank you so much for your time.
General internet and tech issues. I'm in a poor place for internet where I am, so apologies if I was a bit shaky along that as well.
It's fine, Steve. No, it was absolutely fine. And with the podcast and when we put it out there, obviously tag in. We're going to put a link in for you, Oz, to get booked in your diary. People wanting to look at getting you on board, look at onboarding, and obviously in terms of we'll put links into the consumer website as well, so they can sort of see in that. So check out the links. The links will be in there to the website, to the broker website, and to Oz's diary to start and get on discovery with him and look at how you can start getting the leads. But for now, gents, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. If you have any questions about this podcast or any topics you want us to discuss, or if you're interested in working with me further, then please get in touch.